a novel?
Because when Dynasty was the #1 show, there were so many interesting things that were going on, and I thought that I would like to write something about a primetime television show. Everybody has written novels about Hollywood. There have been novels about Hollywood since F. Scott Fitzgerald, but I didn't think there had been any novel about television, about a very successful primetime show, hence the title, Primetime. I didn't actually think I would ever get it finished, but I did start jotting down notes and funny things that happened, sad things that happened, important things that happened, starting around 1983, which is quite a long time ago. And that's really why I started to do it.
Much fun can be had trying to work out who some of the characters in the book are based on. Now, was that intentional, and are you Chloe?
It wasn't intentional, but I found that these characters wrote themselves, and composites of famous people kept flitting into my mind. I didn't want to be the central character. She was originally from Cardiff, and she was half Jamaican. She was a singer, which is sort of like another quite famous English performer. But for some reason or other, she kept on because I write terribly fast, and I write just from like here straight onto my hand, the character of Chloe became more and more like me, even though physically she's different age, she's only been married once, she doesn't have 3 children, she's not an actress, but nevertheless the inner character of Chloe Carrière is much more like Joan Collins than the other ones. And as far as the other characters are concerned, some of them are made up of 3 and 4 and 5 different bits of people, and some of them are complete figments of my imagination, and I suppose it's up to the reader, really, to judge which is which.
How do you find the time to write?
Well, it's very interesting because I always believe that people who have the most to do are able to do even more than people who don't do that much, but sort of lie around saying, oh, I never have any time to do anything. I actually make the time. I started off doodling Primetime, just notes on the set. And then I took 10 days when I was in Mammoth in a holiday, a skiing holiday, when my children would go off to ski in the morning because I don't, and they would ski all day, and then I started to get down to it. That was the first sort of 10 or 12,000 words. After that, when I got my deal with Simon & Schuster, and Swifty Lazar said, okay, kid, when can you have this ready? I said 3 years. He said, no writer takes 3 years. I said, well, they do when they're an actress in a thing, and they're doing Sins and Monte Carlo, plus all of the other things I was doing, like having a little tiny divorce at the same time. So I then blocked out particular periods of time. I would block out one entire weekend from whenever I woke up on Saturday morning until whatever time I went to bed on Sunday night. I would just do nothing. I would barely even take a shower. I'd just throw on a robe and write all day. But what I feel is, when I'm writing, I only want to write when I feel really sizzling, if you know what I mean. When ideas come, when situations come, when conversation comes, I hate writer's block. I hate to have to sit there with my head in my hands thinking, what next, what next? If I do that, I usually stop, go and have a cup of coffee, go and play a tape or watch some television and take a 15-minute break and then go back. And if it hasn't come, I'll put it away.
I believe that when you're given the script for Dynasty, if you don't like the dialogue, you rewrite it yourself. How did you approach writing the dialogue for the novel?
I speak it. When I'm doing dialogue with 2 characters, I say it to myself out loud. Not all of it, I might add. There are certain bits that I didn't say out loud. You know the bits I'm talking about. But when I'm talking about a scene, for example, with a studio head and an actress that he's pulled on the carpet for some infraction of rules, I will speak. And in fact, Judy, my assistant, tells me that when I speak, I speak like the character.
Giving a performance must be creatively very satisfying. How does it compare with holding the finished copy of Primetime in your hand? Is that a good feeling?
Oh, it's wonderful because it's all my own work. Totally my own work. Well, of course, you know, there's the printers and there's the editors and there's people, my editor, Michael Corder, is wonderful and very helpful because with the first book it's kind of terrifying. But to actually know that you've done this and you've created it and you haven't had to say, is it all right if I wear a green skirt or a red skirt in this scene, or can I change my dialogue in this scene, or can I go for the weekend to London? All of those permissions that one always has to get with whatever. This is me. This is just something that I've done, and it's come straight from my heart and my mind onto the yellow pad, and then onto the computer, and then onto the reader. It's a fantastic feeling. It's my 4th book, as you know. I mean, I wrote 3 others before. But I think the novel is more exciting for me because it is, creatively it's more exciting because I can just totally make it up. Whereas the beauty book, it had to be facts. The autobiography was all factual, and the story about my daughter was factual too, so they were all factual books. But this, the thing that I loved, was being able to indulge my fertile imagination.
Joan Collins, never a moment of self-doubt, and the book is exactly like its author, ridiculous, larger than life, and does for English literature much the same as Dynasty does for the classical theatre. Now let's have a look at the hardback non-fiction top 10 for this week.